friends, I'm so glad you've joined me for this one. This is an evening clean with me, and I am deep cleaning my kitchen today. Everything just needs to be wiped down and reset. So if you need that type of encouragement today, then watch this one. As usual, I had a sink full of cups that needed to be washed. Now, I would say a sink full of dishes, but this was over 50% just cups. So I just quickly hand washed all of these. I did put them in my dishwasher, which was empty, just to dry, and then we put them away when they were dry. But I had to get these out of the way so that we could get to cleaning the rest of the kitchen. Now, I needed to thoroughly wipe down my counters and backsplash. This is one of those move everything off the counter type cleanings. And then my cabinets, I'll show you in a little bit, they were just dirty. Little handprints and fingerprints by the handles and the corners, and it was just time to thoroughly wipe everything down. Now, I had a few cabinets that were scuffed from just use over the years, and probably over by the stove where, it gets a little greasy or it gets heated up. And so I do have some touch-up paint in my cabinet, and I went ahead and got those little corners and it's in the details, got those things touched up, and I can't believe how fresh it looks when I look over at my cabinets. Instead of those imperfections of the paint being chipped off, jumping out at me, I just see a fresh, clean space, and I am so glad I took the time to do that. So I hope you'll stick with this video, and I hope this gives you the encouragement you need today for cleaning your house, whatever it might be, whether you're doing deep cleaning or light cleaning or just the basics, tidying up. I know there's different kind of things that need to be done each time. There's a lot of tidying that gets done in our house, but we do make time for the actual cleaning jobs. And one way we do that is through zone cleaning. I first learned about zone cleaning through Fly Lady, as I think a lot of people did, but I've kind of made it into my own system, my own rotation of zone cleaning jobs. If you'd like a video about that, I would love to make just a simple step-by-step zone cleaning video, and maybe put some little videos of how that looks throughout my week. So let me know down in the comments if you would be up for a video like that. I would love to let you know what my method is like, and maybe that could help you create your own and find out what really works for you. Now that the sink is clear, I'm so happy, just wiping everything down, getting it nice and shiny, and then I start clearing off the counter. Now, I did have some things that needed to be put away, some appliances, and I usually like to keep most of my appliances tucked away. I do keep my little vintage KitchenAid on the counter, and it needs to be wiped down every so often, so we will get to that later in the video. I'm only going to keep a couple things out on my counter. I'll keep my coffee pot, my KitchenAid, our little jars of kind of staple foods. We have oatmeal, rice, pasta, and we've been trying using that. We go through it actually quite fast, and I may phase that out if it doesn't work for us long term. But I usually also keep a fruit bowl in addition to those things, and then usually have a little decorative platter or something. Right now I have kind of a baskety platter with flowers on my little kitchen peninsula area. So I'll just put everything away. I'm filling up my bottle with nice, fresh, warm water, and today I'm going to use this Pinaline. It's like Pine Sol, and I like the components in this for this type of task. I'm really getting in here and spraying everything down. Real quick, before I get too busy with that, let me show you where there are actual fingerprints. My cabinets might look clean from far away, but I wish you could see them in person. They are a little bit messy, a little bit scuffed up. That's just life with 8 people using this kitchen, and it needs to be done every so often. We need to be able to wipe it down. So I'm just using that spray bottle with warm water and Pinaline and spraying it down and giving it a good wipe. I'm alternating between using paper towel and a sponge. And I would also use a microfiber rag for this task, but I had just put them in the wash, so I didn't have those available, but this worked just fine for this time. I quickly worked my way down the whole kitchen. I really had to focus on the top of every cabinet and then the sunken in places, especially around the bottom corners and the handle. They definitely needed a little extra scrub in some places, but they were coming out so nice and clean. We actually painted these cabinets when we moved into the house, and I am so thankful we took the time to spray them. We had the spray gun machine for painting, and this is Valspar paint, the paint and primer in one. I was pretty insistent that we got really good paint, and then I was super thankful that my husband actually suggested that we spray it. So we had to tape off everything else, and he and a friend sprayed the house. The cabinets and all the trim are the same color of gray. It's a Valspar color. I think it's called stone something, smooth stone. I'll go ahead and put it in the description box below. And then they taped off, after that had dried overnight, they taped off the other way, and then they painted the rest of the house white in the color gypsum. And I absolutely love how it came out. Super beautiful, and it has held up so well. We've been in the house 5 years next month, and there have only been a couple times that we've had to touch up paint. This is actually the very first time that I'm touching up my kitchen cabinets. So you can see how well they really held up from taking the time and effort to really get the job done well with the spray gun. We did spray outside and inside of them, and I'm really happy with how they came out. I think they're lovely. I like the soft gray color, and it's held up over time. After finishing up on this long wall of cabinets, I moved over to the part above the stove, and this definitely had the most wear on the paint. I actually gave it a really good initial scrub down. I got a stool so that I could reach the top parts really well, and then somehow I lost that video clip. So what you see now is me just coming in with the touch-up paint. I'm touching up this whole backer board where some grease has landed and kind of caused the paint to peel, and then I am going to get the stool back out and go ahead and touch up the tops of the cabinets and a little bit of the bottom corners. Now, I think this is just because grease lands on these, when I'm cooking different things. And I would say I first started to notice the wear probably about a year ago, that I really needed to come in and touch it up. But it's one of those things that you tend to just put off. And I even keep this small can of touch-up paint right over my sink, so I have it at the ready. Sometimes there's a little nick on a door frame or something, and we have touched up the door frame to my room once before, and then we also added an interior door to my husband's office, and so we had to paint that one. But other than that, our paint has held up so well in this house. I'm super thankful for that. I have dealt with cabinets that were hand painted before, and they did need touch-ups more often. So I just think that it's a combination of really quality paint and being able to do the sprayer for application. I know not everyone is able to do that, so at the very least, I would recommend a quality paint and primer for a really good finish on cabinets. Now, Now I quickly cleared off this cabinet. I had our jar of snacks, our KitchenAid mixer, and then those kind of bulk bin things that we keep there, and just started to give it a really good wipe down. I sprayed the counter pretty thoroughly and gave the backsplash a good spray, and then just wiping over everything, including those switch plates, made it look and smell so fresh and clean. I cleaned out our snack jar and gave it a good wash, and then I'm going to take a few minutes to go ahead and wipe down the KitchenAid mixer. I always think that I wipe it down pretty well, but I did find a few little bits of batter just kind of splashed in corners here, so it definitely needed a good wipe down. I love this little vintage KitchenAid. It's definitely an older model, and the color just reminds me of my grandma's kitchen. She had kind of a yellowish stove, and I just always associate this kind of color with that kind of vintage 70s era. So my friend Grace actually gave me this one. She has a black one in her kitchen, and she passed this one on to me, so I just love it. I'm going to go ahead and return our little rice, almonds, pasta, and oats back to where they have been living. That's been a pretty useful little solution for us. My cousin Brittany gave me those containers when she moved, and I've enjoyed getting some use out of them. I just began wiping down the other side next to the coffee pot, which I had already wiped under. So I just worked the corner all the way up to the coffee pot, and then went ahead and wiped down this backsplash as well. It's interesting having the same material both on the countertop and backsplash. I wasn't sure if I'd like it right away. This was how the kitchen was when we moved in. The only thing we changed was the paint color, but I like it for the ease of cleaning, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now I moved to the lower cabinets, which this side gets a lot of traffic. I should have showed you an up close. I don't think you can tell how messy they really were, but we had a few splashes and some watermelon juice that had dripped down the side of the cabinet. That definitely happens from time to time. We've had coffee spills, watermelon juice, whatever just wants to find its way down the side of the cabinet. So we do have to wipe down this area more regularly than I would say we do the top cabinets. So I just went ahead and gave them a good thorough spray and really gave them a scrub where they needed it. I love how fresh this is coming out. I'm not sure if you can really tell on video just what a difference it makes, but if you know from experience, you think your cabinets are okay, and then you go ahead and wipe them down, you're like, wow, they really were dirty. So that's the experience I'm having right here. Showed you up close a little bit. Maybe you can see this was where some of that juice was, and so I did give it a good wash. We also had peanut butter on one of these cabinet doors, so I'm not sure how or when that happened, but I hope it was recent, and we just went ahead and got all of that cleaned up. It's looking so good. Makes me so happy to have such a fresh, clean kitchen, and the kitchen is just smelling so good. Since I just put a little bit of the cleaning solution into the bottle of water, it's not overpowering, just smells nice and fresh. Now it is time to give attention to the floors. Oh, these floors give me such a hard time. I've been saying since we first moved in that they could really use a nice fresh seal. I think because they're a porous material, you can actually strip them and reseal them, and they would hold up a lot better. But I absolutely love the look of the terracotta tile. My house is kind of the Spanish style house from the 1920s. As far as we know, it was built in 1926, and we found out some really fun history about our house. So the tile is not that old by any means, but it definitely adds to the feel of the Spanish style that the home was intended to be. I just went ahead and gave it a good mop. I love this little spin mop. I had a different style before, the one that you kind of push up and down with the actual mop pole, but this one has the foot pedal and it's working just fine. I'm pretty happy about how quick it is now to run the mop over the floors. So I will give you a final look at how clean and sparkling the kitchen is. It feels so good to have the kitchen nice and fresh, have all that paint touched up, and just looking at it, it looks bright and new. It's surprising what a little bit of elbow grease can do. So thanks for joining me for this one, and if you haven't hit subscribe, please do. I hope to see you in a future video, and if you made it this far, I hope you'll hit the like button. I will see you next time. Bye.